First things first, the Lakers got it done in Game 2. Is the King back in control of this series? Green Bay Packers OTAs underway, but a couple of notable absences on offense. One of them, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Is it a sign of solidarity with the quarterback? And how about this? Blake Griffin throwing down last night. Is he back to being dunk contest Blake? Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, very happy Brandon Marshall, and Kevin Wilds. And Brandon, it is a damn shame you have not been on the Nets bandwagon this year. That would have been the team to go with. That one right there with Blake leading the way.
Is it too late, Jenna? Is it too late to get on that bandwagon?
It's a little late, my friend. It's a little late. The bandwagon's full. We're going to get to the Nets' big romp last night. We got to start, though, this morning with a shocker. It shocked me, at least. Mavs Clippers Game 2. Remember, Dallas won Game 1. They had a barrage of three-pointers. So guess what they did in Game 2? Exactly the same thing. They're no dummies. Both Kawhi and Paul George showed up, but they got no help from anyone else on that Clippers team. And Luka was Luka. He took advantage. We'll have much more on him in a second. Clippers lose, but they're down 0-2 now, headed back to Dallas. Here's Paul George after the loss.
We got to rise to the occasion. Fact of the matter is, if we don't, we're done for. But there's no level of concern. I mean, we just got to play our game. We got to play through this. I'm pretty sure everyone expected us to win this. So they were the underdogs. And when you're a lower seed, I mean, you really don't have high expectations. So they're playing free. They're playing with confidence. I think we're giving them a little too much confidence. So that's on us to shut that down.
I'm not sure I believe they're playing with... There's no concern there for the Clippers. All right, 39 points for that guy, Luka Doncic, off to arguably the best start in playoff history through 8 games. Remember, this is the guy the Clippers wanted to face. Don't forget that. So, Nick, is this series over with the Clippers going down 0-2 in the series?
Jenna, this series is over. This stillborn Clippers era is over. And the Clippers' future of the franchise is as bleak as any team in all of professional sports this side of the Houston Texans. Clippers and Texans actually have something in common. Neither has ever even been to the semifinals of their respective sports championship rounds. But that's neither here nor there. Wilds, what we have here is a perfect storm of terrible, inexplicable at the time, and certainly with hindsight, decisions. In the big picture, the first one is Kawhi Leonard's decision 2 years ago. Kawhi Leonard has had 3 options. Stay in Toronto with that organization, try to win back-to-back titles, and then evaluate the landscape. Option 2, go home to Los Angeles to play with the greatest player ever in Anthony Davis and win titles. Option 3, go to the sorriest franchise in NBA history, have them trade away every asset they have for Paul George and say, that's how we're going to do it. And in the meantime, I'll sign with New Balance as a nice little bonus. He chose that. That is a historically bad decision. Almost as bad as the decision Wilds, his organization made when they decided in Game 72 we could play the Blazers in round 1 if we win. We could play the Mavs in round 1 if we lose. And we are going to intentionally lose so we won't have to play the Lakers in round 2. Instead, we'll play them in round 3. The problem with that is if you go home in round 1, it doesn't matter.
You never get there.
So it was, in hindsight, Wilds, an unforgivable... Well, I'll go to Brandon. Brandon, you disagree with anything I'm saying? They're ruined. They're ruined in this series. No, they have no assets. They have no cap flexibility. They're ruined.
That's why I'm laughing at you, because the question is about falling down 0-2 and do they still have a chance, not about next year.
And the answer is no.
Yeah, they have a chance, Jenna.
But that's all.
They have 2 of the best players in the NBA. Yeah, yes, they do. They play well. That's not the problem. If you watch the game last night, Paul George did what he was supposed to do. Kawhi Leonard did what he was supposed to do. He had 30 in the first half.
And they still lost.
And he also stepped up on the defensive side when he needed to. But it's about the bench. It's about the others. It's about the supporting cast. When you look at Pat Beverly, when you look at, Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, like where are you guys? That's the difference in this game, in this series. Then you look on the Dallas side. Your son, Luka, phenomenal, unstoppable. This kid is on another planet, in another planet. But then he also has a supporting cast that's playing lights out. Maxey, Porzingis. I mean, these dudes couldn't miss. It was like they were shooting in the ocean. Tim Hardaway, phenomenal. So I think when you look at this game, when we're talking about this series, that is the difference. Man, But
is that just real quick? Is that going to change?
Man. I just don't know if I can see
Tim
Hardaway playing that way. It's going to be hard. Listen, it's going to be hard, but they definitely have a chance. They definitely have a chance.
Wilds, you tweeted
they don't
out
have a chance.
A really interesting stat that showed, like, what's it happened? 4 times a team fell down 0-2 at home in NBA history. And came back to win.
Yes, and I think tweeting out an interesting stat, it gives me too much credit. I basically took a picture of my television and said send. So I will take credit for, going low-key viral on it. But here's what the stat said. So shout out to NBA TV for making the stat. 4 teams have come back from down 2-0 at their home court. It was the 2017 Celtics, but here's the thing. That team had a lot of heart. IT, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, a lot of heart on that team. I don't see that with the Clippers. 05 Mavs, of course, Dirk. 94 Rockets end up winning the championship in the 69 Lakers. I don't think we're going to add the Clippers to this squad, Nick. I do not. I think they're totally cooked.
Of course.
They were the 8th best defensive team during the year. They've been the absolute worst during the playoffs. And Brandon, when you talk about, like, where's the bench, where's the other guys, here's the thing about prioritizing health. I think your stars are going to show up. I think your stars are going to be stars. It's the other guys that affects. It's those guys ride more momentum than max contract guys. So when you lose those 2 games, you avoid the Lakers. The stars are going to be the stars. The stars play well at home. The stars play well on the road. It's those other guys, those fringe guys that affects. That I think that decision to avoid the Lakers hurt the most.
Yeah, but I don't think it's about that. It's really about this team and really the supporting cast stepping up. When I stood on the table for the Clippers beginning of this year and said I'm riding with the Clippers because I knew exactly what I was going to get from Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had a phenomenal year.
That's right.
Kawhi Leonard's having a good series. Paul George, I felt and I was betting on Paul George breaking through that whole stigma of playoff P. He's doing that. Now, I will admit this, Nick. I did not account for the others not stepping up and doing their job. That's the difference here. Luka Doncic, we know exactly who he is. But, man, everybody around him is stepping up. Think about Porzingis. They did a phenomenal job of managing Porzingis down the stretch to get him to the playoffs healthy. We were talking about him being traded. He was on the trading block, and then they kept him. Why? Before this moment, they did a phenomenal job of managing Porzingis, and you're seeing the impact that he has on his team and the impact that he's having on the series. That's the difference.
Well, Brandon, one thing we will agree on is this. The Clippers front office has done a miserable job, and I'm very interested to see for all those guys that, in a few months when they're interviewing for new jobs, because they're all going to be fired, how they justify this roster. Because you're surprised.
Let me ask you a question.
It seems that, right? Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question, please. And then I'll finish the point.
No, I just don't. Yeah, because you just said everyone's fired. You just made a big move in letting go Doc Rivers, and you got a phenomenal coach that's well-respected in Ty Lue. So are they going to make a move there? And then you're talking about Kawhi Leonard leaving. I just don't see this team making any moves. They can't make any moves.
Okay, well, you're right. They are handcuffed for making moves because of the terrible moves the front office has made, which is why I'm not talking about Ty. I'm talking about the GM on down. The front office is going to be gone. Because maybe some people might be surprised that Reggie Jackson has been terrible in the playoffs. I'm not. I've seen him in the playoffs. People are surprised. Wait, Marcus Morris isn't a sharpshooter? Nope, not in the playoffs. Luke Kennard. You gave Luke Kennard $60 million this offseason. He's played 0 minutes. They won't take him off the bench. Serge Ibaka was their big offseason acquisition. He played 5 minutes last night. Nick Batum was supposed to come in and save the day. It's not a good roster. Kawhi and Paul George played as well as you can play, and they lost the biggest game they've played all year. It's not a good roster. Been saying it for 2 years.
And Paul George could sit and tell you up and down there's no concern on that team, but look at the road ahead. 3 of the next 4 games are in Dallas.
Baby.
Mavs only really have to, they only
there ain't
have
gonna
to
be
win
4
2.
games,
I don't know,
Jenna.
Brandon. I'm not sure.
There ain't gonna
Probably
be 4
not.
games.
So you're saying get the broom out?
We're taking a turn to talk about Brandon's team, Brooklyn Nets. And how about a guy named Blake?
Here we go.
Throwing it back with these dunks.
Here we
Is
go.
he officially back to the old Blake? First things first on a Wednesday morning. Let's play Drawing a Blank, gentlemen, and let's start in Brooklyn, where Joe Harris lit it up last night in Game 2. Tied a Nets playoff record with 7 3-pointers, finished with a playoff career-high 25 points. Call him the Big 4 now. But Brandon, your biggest takeaway from the Nets Game 2 blowout of the Celtics was blank.
Oh, Jenna, don't talk about offense. I said that all year. Offense. We have 3 guys that can average 25 points a game. Now we have 4. Joe Harris, 16 points to open up the game, and then he finishes, with 25 points? This is ridiculous. KD went off, Kyrie, James Harden was the distributor, got everybody involved. But the answer is this, and Nick, hold on to your seat. Defense wins championships. Did you see the Nets? We can talk defense now. They play defense when it matters. They made Tatum look like he was a JV player. 9 for 32. That's 28% on the series. He was, 3 for 12 last night, whatever it was. It was ridiculous. 9 points. That was ridiculous.
3 for 12.
That performance by Tatum. Defense wins championships, buddy.
Well, listen, finally you're coming around. And when you play a team that maybe isn't, calling Jabari Parker post-ups, we'll see how good that defense actually is. But yesterday I gave America the take, if someone's a superstar by how much they're criticized after a terrible game. That's 2 terrible games by Tatum. No criticism's going to be levied his way. Not a superstar. Wilds, I got a new one. This isn't a take. This is a rule change. When you have your bi-weekly coffee with Adam Silver, please run it by him.
Yeah.
So my answer is fast forward. And that is because I proposed this to the NBA. They're never going to go back to a best of 5 first round. Fine. If a first round series starts off 3-0, it's over. The team has earned the rest, the time off. It's a waste of time. We've never had a team come back from 3-0 anyway. It's like a mercy rule. Exactly right. The Celtics were ready to be mercy ruled in this midway through the second quarter. Now they got to play a Game 3 and a Game 4. It's good for nobody. So if you, in the first round of the playoffs, if you go up 3-0, series over, fast forward, because the Bucks and Nets, what we really want there is a best of 9. So in both these series at 3-0 and give us as much Bucks Nets as possible. Unlikely to happen this year, but run it by Adam Silver for future years, please, Wilds.
Best of 9, that's good, because I was going to say, what about the lost revenue? And if you're saying best of 9, you've just answered it, so I'm all for that. Hey, my answer, Jenna, is highlight reel. And this is a particular order. My top 3 favorite highlights from this game were Kevin Durant's block, Kyrie just taking it to the hole, and when the Nets, once they were up by 33, took out one bucket that was filled with water and they splashed a fan, and then the next bucket was filled with confetti. I was like, oh, you guys got me. So great game overall for the Nets. I love that confetti stuff.
All right, on to Pittsburgh now, where OTAs are underway. 10-year Steelers defensive end Cam Hayward came out yesterday and defended Ben Roethlisberger. Didn't even know he needed defending. Take a listen to this.
I'm not here to, say my quarterback's not able to do it. I've seen this guy win Super Bowls on TV. I've seen him day in and day out compete. And, you just get frustrated because, I know Ben puts in work and I know how much he cares about this team. If he didn't want to do it and he didn't, if he was just here for the money, that's one thing. And I don't think we would ever have to worry about that. But when he steps in this building, he's 100% dedicated to this. So when I hear the bad mouthing about him being, a not great quarterbacks, and then everybody's ready to elevate other quarterbacks, I'm like, what have they done? This guy is a proven winner, but yet we're ready to discount him.
All right, Brandon, Cam Hayward's defense of Big Ben is blank.
Cam, look, 13 years in the National Football League, played for a few teams. But at the end of the day, I bleed black and yellow. I'm a Pittsburgh boy, grew up on the east side of town, Larmer Avenue. And this is not the standard. The standard for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's tied for the most Super Bowl wins in the National Football League next to the New England Patriots, is win a Super Bowl. Cam's right. He has won at a high level, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2011, haven't won a Super Bowl since 2009. So, yes, they have been good. They have sustained. But the standard is the standard in Pittsburgh, and that is Lombardi trophies, win a Super Bowl. And Big Ben hasn't done that in a very long time.
Yeah, so that's all correct, which is why Cam Hayward's defense of Ben Roethlisberger is true loyalty. Listen, I have a lot of flaws as a human being. Some come across on this show, some don't. But one of them is not lack of loyalty. I am fiercely loyal, almost to a fault. And I feel like that's what Cam Hayward was doing. It's easy to give a letter of recommendation for someone who's awesome. You know what's hard? When someone you used to work with who was late a lot, not very good at their job, kind of a pain, but you love, it's like, hey, buddy, I'm applying for another job. Can I list you as a reference? They might give you a call. That's a real test. It's like, oh, am I going to lie for this person? And let me tell you right now, I'll lie for you. If you're in the circle, oh my goodness, I'll write your college recommendation. I'll give you the job reference.
I'm sorry.
Because you're one of my people. What, Brandon? What?
Listen, I'm loyal too, but I ain't lying for you. I ain't putting my name on no sloppy work, Nick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
He's loyal,
right,
but I'm not putting my name.
Yeah, so your loyalty quotient slightly lower than mine. I'm a lie for you. No. That's what Cam Hayward's doing, Wilds. He's lying for his guy. He's like, Ben's my guy. I've been through the wars, so I'm just going to lie for him. So that's true loyalty. As an Italian, I respect it.
Yeah, Brandon, you are also very, very loyal to the fact that we've become the #1 show in America talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick. No other show is talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick on a
but it's the truth. It's not a lie.
Bi-daily basis.
Everything I say about Ryan is the truth.
Thank you. Thank you for proving my point. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
You absolutely made his point.
I co-sign this. That's exactly. I co-sign this. I think this is great, Jenna. I'm tired of people ripping Ben Roethlisberger. Like, he was 11-0, and they were like, well, it's not a real 11-0. Like, yeah, it was. Then their schedule got scrambled, and they got cold at the end of the season. It's fine. Here's the other thing. Najee Harris just signed 4 years, $13 million. So with Najee Harris on the way, Brandon, I think the black and yellow, you and Wiz Khalifa can start feeling a little bit better. Do I think you go win the Super Bowl? No.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Play a little bit better last year.
I don't know why I'm asking, but I gotta know,
black
Nick, if
and
I'm in
yellow.
your circle. Just tell me, if I need anything from you, buddy. Am I in the circle? I gotta know. I'm gonna ask on national television. I gotta know. Just text me. I can't know.
I can't lie for you, Jenna.
Time for the weird and wonderful from our national pastime. No, I got it, Nick. I heard it pretty clearly. You said it 4 times. Vladdy continued to stay red hot last night. It is Major League leading 16th home run to silence an impossible to silence Yankee Stadium crowd. Pretty wonderful in the Jays 6-2 win over the Yanks. Wilds, what else you got for us? I'm out, clearly.
Oh, Jenna, here's a hot take, hotter than ever. I've got a complicated relationship with replay, just like everybody. You want to be factually correct, but at the same time, you want sort of like the game to just sort of flow. I've abandoned that take. You know what I do? I love replay because I pray to the God of interesting, and I like drama. So here's Jacob deGrom gutting out a double. But he lifted his foot off the bag for just a half second, and he was tagged. I didn't see the tag. So shout out to replay. You made the game more interesting. Otherwise, this would have been like, hey, you got a double. But now it becomes more interesting, more drama-filled.
It's not more interesting.
Drama. More interesting than accuracy.
That's the worst take Wildes has ever had. That's the worst take Wildes ever had. We're going to argue about this later.
No, don't go. Oh, Katina, gosh darn it. Jose Canseco's going to argue off his head. Happy anniversary. Here's the thing about the take. Tennis, on the other hand, remember how John McEnroe always yelling? Now they've got replay. It's like, buddy, you can't yell. The ball's out. So that has made it less interesting. The drama of it, baseball replay makes it more interesting. And shout out to Jose Canseco.
No.
You were unfairly maligned.
Okay, we'll talk later. We'll talk later.
Happy anniversary, Jose.
Everything's gone really smoothly with this segment so far. All right, we good? Hey, I'm going to talk some stuff now. Here it goes. Back talking LeBron James and the Lakers. They got the job done last night in Game 2. Are they back in total control of the series?
Little baby
I don't know. Asking for a friend.
Oh,
Next,
no.
first.
Nobody picked the Suns, did
You're
they?
in my circle, Nick. Back talking Game 2 between Lakers-Suns. Lakers lost Game 1 in large part because, I'll say it, Anthony Davis. Brandon's been banging that drum all year. Last night, AD not only showed up, Brandon.
Did I
balled out. Game high 34 against the Suns team that just wouldn't go away. But AD and LeBron both hitting those clutch shots late to seal and win.
He had a great
steal
quarter.
back home court advantage. All right, well, here's Anthony Davis after the win.
I don't put too much pressure on myself. I go out there and just play basketball. Play with a lot more energy and effort tonight. And just played aggressive. I think that was the difference from Game 1. But just watching some film, watching film from the finals when I played against Jay, and just learning from those situations and seeing what I can do to be effective on the floor to help my team. But that was it. Staying like I can stand to myself. And just getting in the mode of, this is a must win. And I think we all came out with that mindset and we was able to get the job done.
All right, so if you watch this game, what you didn't see a lot of was Chris Paul. Monty Williams decided to limit his play when he saw CP3 struggling with that injured shoulder in the second half. Remember, he hurt that shoulder in Game 1. Ended up scoring just 6 points in 23 minutes. They could have used more of him. Here's the head coach with more.
I took him out. There was all me just looking at him hold his arm the way that he was holding it. I just couldn't watch him, run like that. He's trying to make plays. He battled. He's a warrior. We all know that. And I just made a decision to take him out.
All right, so let's take a step back and look at this. Did last night, Nick, swing the series for the Lakers?
Oh, Jenna, it swung the series. And I have an important announcement to make. Jenna, Wildes, Brandon, the brow is back again. He's the 34, 10, and 7, dominating the Suns. He's back again. You thought he was gone, but now he's back.
You better be careful.
You knew it was coming.
You know what happened the last time you did that?
I know what happened the last time. I'm not worried, though. I tried to warn you. Oh, Anthony Davis doesn't shoot enough free throws. Are 21 enough for you? Anthony Davis doesn't bang on the offensive glass enough. Is a 30-plus point double-double enough? What about a little passing? The only thing you didn't criticize of him was his passing. He's like, I'm going to be great at that, too. How about, Anthony Davis can't shoot threes anymore. Dagger, game winner after LeBron's dagger. And by the way, LeBron's turnaround jump shot, was that Jordan-esque enough for all you fools?
Somebody's just turning his show on.
Hey, Brandon, do you see the difference between a feel-out Game 1 And an important game, too? Do you feel it? Do you see it?
Still not buying no fill-out game, LeBron James fill-out game. Who just throws the first game just let me see what's going on? No, that is not the. That's not what happened here. What happened here was Chris Paul. Chris Paul's your MVP, Chris. I mean, Nick, Chris Paul is your MVP. This guy goes down the first game. He finishes. We don't know what's going on. Watching Undisputed in the gym yesterday, there's a report that says Chris Paul is not on the injury report. So everybody's thinking he's going to be fine. Did you see this guy hobbling around and, with his shoulder? He couldn't do anything. He played 23 minutes, 6 points. That is the difference. So, yes, the series has turned. The Lakers are going to dominate the series moving forward. Not because of AD. Not because of LeBron James. It's because of CP3 going down. That's the reason.
Brandon, I hate to do this to you. And normally, injuries are a valid exit ramp from a terrible, regrettable prediction like the one you've consistently made about the Suns. However, the injury happened in game 1, and you tripled down on it yesterday. We knew Chris Paul was hurt. We saw it. We heard him say, I felt a pop. We saw him not be able to dribble the ball at the end of game 1. And you were out here, the Suns are the better team. The Lakers are in trouble. LeBron doesn't know how to attack a playoff series. Question. So, just like I can't come out here and be like, well, I'm now worried about LeBron's ankle. That was already there. And Chris Paul was not going to slow down Anthony Davis.
It doesn't matter about Anthony Davis. It has nothing to do. Anthony Davis had one good corner. Let's be real. And the three-pointer that you talked about, yes, it was a dagger. Come on. That's like me as a wide receiver saying, I had 100 yards in a game and that was a good game. That's the standard. That's what you're supposed to do. He didn't impact the game in a way where the Suns didn't have a chance. What I said yesterday and what I said last week was this. Given the situation with AD playing the way he was playing and LeBron James with his ankle, the Suns are a better team. The record speaks for itself. Chris Paul goes down. Chris Paul played 23 minutes. That's the difference. If Chris Paul was 100%, what would have been the outcome, Nick? We got to have this conversation. We got to look at it, not in the vacuum. We got to really have this conversation the right way. Because when you talk about CP3, man, he is your MVP. Think about that. You stood on the table for him being your MVP. Do you remember that, Wilds? Do you not remember that?
Yes. Well, he's my MVP. I love Chris Paul personally. I love him professionally. And I was legit bummed out because if people are like, we'll see how what's up on Thursday. Maybe he's back. I'm like, woo. I don't feel good about that because we know that Chris Paul has the respect of his teammates, people around the league, and Monty Williams. This is not a Donovan Mitchell Jazz situation where hey, I'm ready to go and the team's holding me out. If Chris Paul was good enough to go, he could have had a conversation with Monty Williams and gone back in the game. In the fourth quarter with it on the line, that means he's really, really hurting. And I want to show you a sequence. I was like, this is what Nick was talking about with defense winning championships. This is with Chris Paul not on the floor. Third quarter, about 5 minutes left. This was the Suns offense. Okay, block from Caruso. All right. Now they get the ball out of bounds. Oh, it's out again. Now they eventually get a little. This is their shot. That's it. It goes over the rim. So look, Nick, this was because this whole offense grinds to a halt without Chris Paul. This was solid defense by the Lakers, and the Suns just look lost out there. I think this series is over. I don't think Chris Paul is going to be able to miraculously get healthy because if he was good enough to go, he would have gone last night.
And by the way, this is the second best team in the West. And the Lakers, after they play the Suns, they will not face any type of test until the NBA Finals against either Philly, Milwaukee, or Brooklyn, depending on who comes out of there. But I want to show a different sequence because this game was very late at night. The Clipper game was going on at the same time. The Lakers led for 41 of the final 42 minutes. But it was still in question late. With 3.5 minutes left, the Lakers have to get a stop. And what do? They force a shot clock violation. Very next time, LeBron says, in your eye. But now they got to get another stop. It's only a 3-point game. And what do? how about that terrible shot with LeBron guarding you? The very next time down the court, there's the Anthony Davis dagger. And then, so that's 2 stops. Not enough. How about we get 3 stops in a row? Again, it's a 6-point game, final 2 minutes, turnover, next time down the court for the Suns. How about 4 stops in a row? Another turnover, and then, of course, LeBron ends the game right there. There are 2 kinds of schools of thought. Just let me finish this real quick, Brandon. You had the next sequence last night that showed playoff and regular season, whatever you want, offensive basketball at its highest level, where the ball is moving, guys are cutting, and anybody could have gotten an open shot, anybody could have gotten an open dunk, because the offense is right now a 99 out of 100 for Brooklyn. That was the defensive version of that. Critical moments of a playoff game you have to win. You get 4 stops in a row. It's not as pretty as what the Nets do, but it's just as important, and that's why the Lakers are in the position they're in, Brandon.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really a statement, and this is where you miss Chris Paul. I mean, that sequence that you showed was a huge one. It was the difference in the game. You can also talk about the run that the Lakers went on, and Coach didn't call it a timeout. So there's 2 major sequences in that game that really determined the outcome. This was a good game. You know, you had Payne that he stepped up, and he made some big plays on both ends of the court. But at the end of the day, when you're in those moments, you're in clutch minutes, that's where CP3 thrives. So that's where you miss this guy. So, yeah, the series is over because you don't have your general on the court. He's almost like Peyton Manning out there. That's who he is. Tom Brady, being able to beat guys with his mindset, his mentality, and his basketball IQ. So it's tough to see this. And, wow, this is like the 3rd time this has happened. You know, we're talking about going back to the Clippers days where he pulled a hamstring. So it's just terrible for a guy that we all want to see, you know, win a title one day.
All right, well, the Lakers even up their series with the Suns at a game apiece. We'll set that aside. We got Nick handing out some NBA playoff medals now. KD, Kevin Durant, going for 26 points in the Game 2 blowout win over the Celtics. Efficient 8 of 12 shooting, but just missing out on a medal from Nick. Nick, which 3 guys did it better than KD last night?
KD was exceptional last night, but there were 3 performances better. 1 came in a loss. The bronze medal goes to Kawhi Leonard. Some people were like, Nick, you're not giving the bronze medal to Luke Kennard? No, he got another DNP coach's decision. I'm giving it to Kawhi. 30 first half points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Unfortunately, not enough to overcome Maxi Kleber and Tim Hardaway Jr. So Kawhi falls to 0-2, but does get a bronze medal for his trouble. Silver medal, Anthony Davis. 1 good quarter, says Brandon. I say 1 great game. 34, 10, and 7. 21 free throw attempts. The exact bounce back game you expect. By the way, the Lakers now, since signing AD, 6-0 in the playoffs, coming off a loss. And the gold medal. Oh my goodness gracious. What can this man not do? 39, baller. 7, and 7. About 5 separate absolute, what's the word for it? I just ran down the court screaming obscenities at Clippers players, telling them they can't guard him. You're too small. You're too slow. He cursed at them in Slovenian a couple times. I'm glad they don't speak the language. Luka Doncic continues an absolutely magical young playoff career. So there it is. There are your 3. That's 3 of the 5 best players in all the NBA. That's what a playoff podium is supposed to look like. There it is, Jenna.
Everyone doing their part last night. Wilds, who just missed the cut?
Oh, Blake Griffin, I know you had 2 dunks last night, but I remember I saw you get crossed, so it's a Celtics highlight, the rarest of rarities. And Jenna, some other optimism. I saw Danny Ainge trending on Twitter. I didn't click on it. Perhaps everyone was talking about the wonderful 85-86 Celtics team. I'm not sure. I'm going to do a little research. Nick, by any chance, did you see Danny Ainge trending last night? Were they talking about 80s Celtics dynasty?
No, I've got his name muted. I've got his name muted.
Okay, well, that's something wrong that you do with Twitter, which is a sentence I'm not going to say again. Back talking Luka's playoff pursuit was so good. Can he stay hot and send the Clippers home early? But first, check out the New York City mayor's message for Trae Young.
Staying on this topic for 1 second, this is about basketball. I have an important official announcement. This is very serious. Want to get this out? Message to Trae Young on behalf of the people of New York City and anyone who cares about actually playing basketball the right way. Stop hunting for fouls, Trae. I want to quote Steve Nash, one of the great player, great coach. He says, quote unquote, "That's not basketball." Trae, that hawk's not going to fly in New York City. Come on. Play the game the right way. See if you can win. I think the Knicks are going to teach you a lesson.
Back here, first things first, with Coach Mangini. And Coach, we're talking the Green Bay Packers, the gift that keeps on giving this offseason. With the backdrop of tension between Aaron Rodgers and management, there's now this. Devontae Adams and arguably the team's top 5 pass catchers all absent from organized team activities yesterday, along with Aaron Rodgers, which left Jordan Love with a makeshift group of receivers to work with. So, Brandon, we'd heard back during free agency, right, that Rodgers told teammates he might not be back. What do you make of Rodgers and the Packers' top 5 receivers skipping OTAs?
Yeah, this is a big deal. Some may look at this and just say it's just OTAs, but the tradition and what we do in NFL, like we come together in the offseason. That's extremely important, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. So this is the wide receiver standing in solidarity with their quarterback. This is a big deal. I said it yesterday when we had this conversation that the Packers need to figure this out ASAP, because if they don't, it's going to break down the integrity of everything they're trying to do in the locker room. You saw this a couple weeks ago, so you had to see it coming when reports surfaced that Aaron Rodgers was in a group text with some of his teammates mocking the general manager. So this is another situation where it's showing that it's breaking down not only at the top, but trickling down into the locker room. And this is a huge problem, Coach. They need to figure this out ASAP, whether that is moving forward Aaron Rodgers and not Brian Gutekunst, or you know, going to the other end of the spectrum. This is going to break down your team, and then it's going to mess up what you're trying to do come September.
Yeah, Brandon, I don't know if this is solidarity or self-preservation by the wide receivers. I certainly wouldn't want to be the one wide receiver that makes Aaron Rodgers mad, assuming that he ends up coming back. that could be very bad for your production and your opportunities moving forward. But this situation, it's not going to get resolved in the short term. And actually, it's a pretty big bonus for Jordan Love. He didn't have an off season last year. He didn't get a chance to have the OTAs and to run the huddle and to do all those things. He was inactive for every game of the season this past season. So for him to get every single rep, to get the exclusive attention of the coaching staff, to be able to run the huddle and the mechanics, it's huge for him. It's actually a bonus, I think, for Matt LaFleur and for the Packers to be able to work with him without Aaron there and give him the reps that he didn't get last year.
All right, so, Coach, I got a question for you, because you're right, he didn't get the reps last year, and I read this week that not only was he the inactive third quarterback, he being Jordan Love, on game day all year, he was the third quarterback in practice as well. Tim Boyle was the second-team quarterback in practice. So let's say you were Matt LaFleur, and you obviously want Aaron Rodgers, but you also have been staying out of this, okay? And at these OTAs, Jordan Love looks awful. I'm not saying he will, but let's just hypothetically, that he has not improved greatly. That you after these OTAs, you're looking and you're like, we're not going to be able to compete with him. At any point, would you consider trying to have a meeting with Mark Murphy and saying, listen, I'm not telling you what to do in regards to the Rodgers versus Gutekunst very obvious feud that's happening. What I am telling you is Jordan Love does not appear that he's going to be able to start NFL games for us this year. Do with that information what you want. Because I'm really curious how this is going to land with LaFleur if Love looks terrible during these OTAs.
Well, the difficult thing with that is Gutekunst hired LaFleur. So was that a plus decision? Over half of this roster he brought in. They had the biggest turnaround in terms of wins when he took over as the GM. They've been 13-3 in back-to-back seasons, which they didn't have a record that good in I think it was 7 years prior to that, and so there's been a significant amount of success and a significant amount of good decisions. So now the guy who hired me, I'm going to go in to the president and try to undercut him. And Aaron is saying how much he loves the head coach, how much he loves the players, how much he loves the town. Look, love me less and show up. This is if you really love someone, you're there. Like, this is a strange way to express your love for everybody.
Brandon, how does this actually come to fruition? Do all the wide receivers talk to each other and be like, well, if Aaron's not there, I'm there? And have you ever done this or heard of this happening in the past?
Yeah, no, actually, we were the first to do it. Eric Decker and I, we came off a big year in 2015. Eric had a monster year. I had a monster year. Fitzy had a monster year. We went, we walked away from that season with 10 wins. And Fitz just wanted around $12 million a year, and our team wouldn't do that. We were looking forward to our offseason because we didn't have an offseason. It was Geno Smith leading the way. Then Geno Smith, if you guys remember, get punched in the jaw, broken jaw. He's out. Yeah. Now you insert Ryan Fitzpatrick, a week or two before the season. So we were extremely excited about that to build off of what we had. So we tried to force the team to get it done. So Eric Decker and I held out. Yes, absolutely. Wide receivers understand the impact of your quarterback being there and not being there. So this is a huge deal. But Coach, I want to throw it back to you because every time we have these conversations about players, holding out or being disgruntled or maybe not seeing eye to eye with the organization, you just keep saying, just show up, show up. Well, he's been there for 16 years, and all he's asking for is a little bit more. What's wrong with that? And you have Brian Gutekunst, who went out there and drafted Jordan Love, and he didn't provide any type of value. He didn't even help. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who's at the tail end of his career. Why wouldn't he go out there and bring in a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, hell, a safety that can turn the ball over and give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers? So I think this conversation is bigger than just player just doing what he's supposed to do and just showing up.
No, I'm not advocating that he just blindly accept everything that's happened. But when you look at it, Brandon, objectively, they brought in a significant amount of good players, and they were active in free agency a year ago and brought in a significant amount of good free agents. Aaron was the product of being drafted and taking the spot of a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was part of that. He's experienced that. And to say that it's about the people is vague. What do you want? What can we do to resolve this? Is the only way that it's resolved if somebody gets fired? And is that the right answer at this point? If you're clear with what you're hoping to get done, and look, maybe he has been behind closed doors, but there's a lot of vagueness in what he's expressing. Is it contract related? Is it more money? Well, what exactly do you need to get back to the field?
Well, here's the thing. There's some vagaries in what he needs to get back to the field. There is not vagaries in who he's mad at. With Kenny Mayne, he name-checked or shouted out every level of the organization except for one, management. He's mad at management. And management is Brian Gutekunst. Like, he made it clear it's not the players, it's not my teammates, it's not Jordan, it's not the coach, it's not the fans, it's not the city, it's not the cheese curds, but he didn't say anything about management. So we know exactly who he's mad at, and I am not saying that Aaron Rodgers is putting the Packers in an easy position, but I do think it is an easy decision. You don't want to be here, and it is not fair. Coach makes some good points about some good things that Brian Gutekunst could potentially claim credit for. I just happen to think that if I'm Mark Murphy, I'm saying, listen, one guy's the second best in the world at what he does. The other guy's a guy. A guy is probably going to lose his job if it gets me the other guy back.
Just a guy. Just a guy. Eric Mangini, thank you so much. As always, that was fun. We got to take a turn. Talk about Brandon's nets, specifically one net. Blake Griffin, is he officially back after throwing down 2 big dunks last night? We'll have that for you next. First things first. Back here, first things first, time for stories to start your morning. We're talking about a little shocker from last night. Shocked me, at least. After Dallas won Game 1 behind an excellent performance from Luka, guess what they did in Game 2? Same game plan. Same one. I mean, both Kawhi and Paul George showed up for LA, but they got no help from anyone else on that Clippers team. Luka taking full advantage. Clippers lose. They find themselves now down 0-2, headed back to Dallas. Here's Paul George after the loss.
We got to rise to the occasion. Fact of the matter is, if we don't, we're done for. But there's no level of concern. I mean, we just got to play our game. We got to play through this. I'm pretty sure everyone expected us to win this. So they were the underdogs. And when you're a lower seed, I mean, you really don't have high expectations. So they're playing free. They're playing with confidence. I think we're giving them a little too much confidence. So that's on us to shut that down.
All right, so 39 points for Luka, off to arguably the best start in playoff history through 8 games. Remember, this is the guy the Clippers wanted to face. So, Nick, is this series over?
The series is over. The whatever you want to call this Kawhi Leonard, Paul George era, disastrous era, 7-8 in the playoffs through 15 games. It's unbelievable. That's over. A lot of guys' future employment with the Clippers is over. And what is so amazing about this is they chose for this. They opted into this torture. So after they lost to the Rockets, that was justifiable in Game 71. That was to guarantee you don't play the Lakers in round 1. And while you saw the Bucks, in their 71st game of the year, opt into playing the Miami Heat, giving themselves the toughest path because they're trying to win, I understand why you wouldn't want to face the defending champions with the greatest player of all time in round 1. But then they got a little too cute. And in Game 72, when it was already locked in they couldn't play the Lakers, they intentionally lost again so they couldn't play the Lakers until the conference finals. The problem is it sacrificed getting the Blazers in favor of getting the Mavericks. And can we show America what they are over the last 2 years against these two teams? One team, they dominate. They hold that team's best player to his worst performance against any team they're undefeated against, and they blow them out. The other team, it's a coin flip, and the other team's best player dominates them. And that's what they signed up for, Brandon. And Paul George can have a good game, and Kawhi Leonard can have the best half of basketball of his life, and it's not enough. The Clippers did not have the mental fortitude or the talent to win one game with 3 tries against the Nuggets. They have no shot at winning 4 out of 5 against the Mavs. This series is over.
Woo! I mean, well, we can go back to last year in the bubble. They played against these boys and beat them. So as far as them being afraid of Dallas or not having a chance, I think they know exactly what they're up against. And I do believe that they have an opportunity, they have a chance to come back from this 0-2 hole. Here's the deal. When I stood on the table for the Clippers, I was expecting Kawhi to be exactly what Kawhi has been. He's been really good in this series. I expected Paul George to have that breakthrough, that mindset, this playoff P thing that he had going on, for the last couple years, and he's done that. What I didn't account for was the others. I didn't account for Patrick Beverley not really impacting the game, and Marcus Morris not impacting the game. And then you got Reggie Jackson's. Where are you? That is the difference in that game. When you look at the other side in the Mavs, you got Luka playing lights out. He's playing out of his mind, which we expect which we expected. He's been doing that all year for the most part after he got into basketball shape. He did that last year on the biggest stage. But when you look at the guys around him, you got Maxey, Kleba, who else is having a phenomenal series? Tim Hardaway. These guys they can't miss. Offensively, they're so efficient. So what do you expect this team to do? I don't care who they were playing against, who they're throwing them out there against that Mavs offense. Is unbelievable what they're doing. So I expect them to bounce back. I love what I'm seeing out of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. The others just need to step up, Wilds.
I do not expect them to bounce back at all. I think they are cooked. Because when they lost those games to the Rockets and the Thunder, Ty Lue ended up insulting two groups of people. The first group of people were the Clippers. Like, hey, we're not necessarily good enough to beat the Lakers early. Let's just wait, hope someone else knocks them out and play them late. The other group of people that were insulted were the Mavs. There's a reason why Luka Doncic is playing with a ferocity that we've rarely seen. And I know he's a star, but this is an extra star turn. And by the way, he's also, as a little bonus, I'm going to break a little news here. We've seen the Sixth Man of the Year award be given out to Jordan Clarkson. We saw Julius Randle win Most Improved Player. Luka Doncic in the running for Coach of the Year as he's giving suggestions that Patrick Beverley is slightly too small to guard him, Jenna. So keep your eye on that. Dark horse favorite, Luka Doncic for Coach of the Year.
All right, quickly, before we go, I want to get to a couple of pivotal game twos tonight. Let's start Hawks at Knicks. Atlanta up 1-0. Brandon, who wins tonight?
Impressive performance by Trey. I don't see, Julius Randle having a horrific game again. So I'm going to go with the Knicks in game 2.
The Knicks,
Julius Randle has a monster game.
Flagrant fouls on Trae Young, 1.5. They're going to knock him out. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. I'm saying Julius has a monster game. The Garden crowd is back in a major way. Boos Trae Young. I oddly think that motivates Trae Young, and he has a good game, though, Jenna.
All right, let's move on. Sixers up 1-0 over the Wizards. Brandon, who wins tonight?
Yeah, Bill, Russ will get a win, but not on the road against Embiid. So I got the Sixers going up 2-0.
Doc Rivers loves it. Doc Rivers gets a big win. How come you keep stealing my time, buddy? We got a team. We're playing like the Clippers here. We're all out of sorts.
After Brandon. Brandon and Wilds. The Knicks. All right, how about this game, guys? 8-seed Grizzlies up 1-0 on the Jazz. Brandon, then Wilds. Go ahead. We're ahead of time. This went swimmingly well.
Donovan's
Much more
back.
on this coming up on Undisputed. We're back here tomorrow.